Time out with him. Oh.
Open up your mind and let me in. Open up your mind and let me in. Open up your mind and let me in.
Hello, welcome to Time Out with Timo. I'm your host, Tim Owens. As always, very grateful and happy to be here today. As some of you guys know, in my day job, I deal with the public quite a bit. So I had an incident with a young man a few weeks ago. We had a disagreement, one of the verbal sort. He became upset because I gave him a directive and he didn't like it. He felt like that I was being disrespectful because he didn't like my tone and he didn't like the fact that I smiled when he became upset. So he accused me of antagonizing him, escalating the situation. And I let him go. He talked for about 10 minutes, ranting and raving and being very disrespectful, right? So I said, give me one example of how I was disrespectful to you. He said, well, when I became upset, you smiled and you said, come on, man, it's not that big of a deal. That upset me because I felt like the fact that I was upset and you were smiling, that made me matter. So we begin to get into this conversation about what disrespect really is. And I had to explain to this young man that if another man approaches you and he doesn't yell at you, curse at you, call you out of your name, anything of that manner, that he's not being disrespectful. Just because you don't agree with someone doesn't mean that they're disrespecting you. Then the light bulb went off in my head. A lot of these young men today do not know what disrespect is. A lot of the guys today have never had another man ever give them instruction or have a conversation with them or speak to them like a man. Now, I know that people like to bash online single mothers and this and that. That's not what I'm doing. But what I can say is a lot of young men today who are referred to by that derogatory term YN, which I'm not a fan of, but that's a whole nother conversation, like I said before. They've never had a man in their life to ever tell them to chill out or knock it off, as I like to say. So take a guy that was raised by a single mom from the time he was born, right? So let's say his mother was young. So maybe she didn't have the emotional control or intelligence that she would have developed in a normal living situation. Since he's 4 years old, he's been to McDonald's with mom, aunt, whoever. The order's wrong. They watch them become irate, throw a complete fit in the restaurant, get escorted out. He's a little kid, little boy. It's all he's seen. There was no dad there. There was no man there. No one to say, hey, sweetheart, let's bring it down a little bit. We may not want to perform this way in front of the kids. This is all he's seen. That's from 4 or 5 years old. 7, 8 years old. Same thing. All he's ever seen is emotionally unbalanced, unstable relationships, no father figure around, no man to ever tell him or anyone around him that, hey, maybe we shouldn't behave this way. We're not going to get the outcome that we need in this situation because tempers are flaring and no one is controlling their emotions. So fast forward, kid gets to high school. A lot of times, a lot of these guys are being told that they're the man of the house. So when they've been told since they were 8 years old they're the man of the house, they're not used to another man telling them anything. If the mom has had different, guy friends or relationships or whatever, and they've had a toxic relationship, a lot of problems, and he had to step in and intervene and whatnot, he was raised as a man of the house. So he's never had another man that was on stable footing to direct him or tell him anything. So now fast forward, he gets out in the world. He's 19 years old, 23 years old. Then he encounters a man who was raised in a stable environment, who had a good father, good family system. Now, every man isn't a father. Some men can be a daddy, can have children, But if he doesn't have his life together, sometimes you ask the question, some jokers are so sorry, are they better in the house or out of the house? So if he comes one of those situations and he encounter a man who says, hey, son, let me talk to you for a minute. Hey, the way you conducting yourself, that's not how you need to be handling things out here. And then what does he do? He blows up like he's always seen. Oh man, why you gotta be that's all he knows. So that's why they have so many problems now, because they were never taught how to control their emotions. They have no emotional control. So when you have to deal with a young man like that, sometimes you gotta take the route I did. Me and this kid talked for I let him go off for about 10 minutes. Then I spoke to him for about 10 minutes. So another 5 minutes, let's say about 25 minutes total we spent going back and forth. We were able to come to a mutual understanding that I wasn't disrespecting him and he was a little bit out of line and he needed better emotional control. You know, we bumped fists and that was that, right? And I think that one of the reasons why a lot of these young men are hurting each other, getting in these problems, quick to pull firearms out, because they aren't being taught in life that there are careers out here, man. There's real careers that you're needed in. That everyone's not going to make it as a rapper. Everyone's not going to make it in sports. But like these guys behind me here, when I grew up as a kid, that's all I seen. My dad was a teacher, was an educator. You know, we had Black police officers that were over the DARE program, Detective Love. I remember when I was a kid. You know, we had Black doctors in our community, firemen. We had these guys around that we saw, that we looked up to, that we aspired to be. You know, they took the career centers out of high schools where the guys used to go and learn welding, you know, become an electrician, different things like that. So a lot of the young men today are just lost. They don't have any guidance. They don't have anyone to tell them anything. So I think more guys my age that are older than them, before you overreact, or if you see some of these guys getting into a situation they shouldn't get in, and before you have an altercation with them, maybe you want to try the approach that I did. Sometimes they just need a conversation. Sometimes they just need a male to talk to them, to let them vent for a few, let them go off and be upset for a few minutes. Let them know they're going to call you out of your name. They're going to be upset. But I'm not saying put yourself in harm's way. But a lot of times, if you actually be that male figure that they've never had in their life, by showing them that men are calm, men can be stoic, men don't emotionally react. When a man emotionally reacts and loses his cool, it's bad for everyone. We're designed to be calm, stay under control, to assess situations and to handle things properly. A lot of men don't have that capability. The younger guys especially don't, because of 20 years it's been a mess. So I'm saying this to say that if you have a son or nephew or someone who may need that talk from a man who needs to, you know, to sit down. I'm not saying guys haven't tried, but maybe they may be in the point of their life to where the message may resonate with them. So don't write them off yet. Don't say that, you know, they're all going downhill, because I want to say this before I forget, right? People like to criticize me and say you speak very negative about certain people and aspects of our community and stuff like that. It's not it. When you're around people in the community, they have issues that cause a lot of the problems, you do speak from that point of view. That's not saying that there aren't people in our community that are doing great things, because there clearly are. But don't judge a person who works in an environment where they deal with people who have the struggles and challenges, and it's what they talk about, because that's what they're around. People talk about what they're around. People express what they're dealing with. So don't judge a person because of the things they're talking about from the place that they're coming from. Like, sometimes you have to remind them that, hey, I know you can, because people can become stuck. They can become stuck in that stream of that environment. So sometimes you have to pull them out of it, like invite them out to somewhere else, take them to a different area where they can see more positive people and more positive things. I mean, I've been pulled in it before, and I've had to pull myself out of it. So I just didn't want to forget for people that be judged because of what they say, because of what they deal with. That's not everyone's situation. But anyhow, not going to go all day about that or whatever. But let's not give up on some of these young men out here. And I get it. Sometimes some people they want to learn the hard way, and you're going to have those cases. But I just want to share how I was able to reach that young man, and it made me feel pretty good. I've seen him a few times since. There hasn't been any, it was nothing but positivity, man. And he's actually, he actually thanked me for taking the time to have that talk with him. If this video resonated with you, hit the like button, share it with someone else who need to hear this message. As always, thank you for checking out my content. Happy people do not cause problems. Peace.
If everybody winning, who's losing? Man, who's losing? I'm trying to make it make sense. It's like it's so confused. I see the pain in your eyes from all the lonely nights. I swear I know how I feel. It just don't feel right.